Hi everybody, so I'm Katie again. So I'll start by just reminding you what my topic is. So I will be discussing how the continual relocation of Indigenous Americans has been affecting their land and culture and how it is particularly destructive of that. So first I'll be going over my critique and my vision and implementing some of the readings that we've gone through from some authors and then discussing my media pieces. So my critique, as I said before, it is the destruction of Indigenous American culture is such a broad topic. So I went specifically to discuss the Standing Rock Sioux tribe located in the Dakotas and how this particular tribe has gone through several different experiences throughout the past history where their land has been taken away from them. Even just initially, the creation of the reservations had decreased their hunting grounds and their ability to migrate. And then in 1868, that was the establishment. And then 1877, where the U.S. government removed their sacred Black Hills. And the U.S. government did so without the consent of the tribe. And that was because it had become general knowledge or public knowledge that there was gold in these hills, and so it became kind of a gold rush in that area, and the U.S. government just decided to take that right away from them. And then in 1889, how the reservation was further broken down into separate different family units of several acres, and that really created more of a scattering of the tribe. So I think in my concept map I have a map of South Dakota where you can see how the reservation had originally began with nearly the whole western half of South Dakota, and how you can see how much their land has been decreased over the years, and now it's just like a couple of like red speckles throughout South Dakota, and how they're not even clustered together anymore. So now these people not only have diminished land, but they can't even band together in communities very well. And then I also included in my concept map the Dakota Access Pipeline, and how that is still a continuation of the destruction of land and culture, and just a general lack of respect for sacred sites in Native American culture, and how that has helped almost, though, because it has created some unity and community in the Native American cultures and throughout many different tribes, how they've all come together to protest this, which I think is really wonderful, that they were able to turn this really difficult and bad situation into something that was really positive and great for their community. So going into my vision then, I wanted to incorporate some of Goemon's Native feminine practices into our everyday lives. And she really focuses on the concept of tribal space versus colonialism and colonial space. And so that really goes into going back to your roots with land, and seeing the sacred value in where you originate, where you come from, and your everyday activities, where you live. It's really a concept that we don't really have. I guess it would be our concept of home per se, but it's much smaller sense of that. And so this would be protecting and supporting the tribal space, land and community, and what we can do as a general public to help with that. So, and this would also reduce the logic of Native Orientalism in America by perceiving other groups with interest as opposed to hostility and superiority, and how we can be aware of xenophobic and racist practices towards Native Americans by respecting American or Native American heritage and diversity. So there are a couple of hands-on approaches that I incorporated into my vision by urging those who have been separated throughout the diminishment of their reservation land, and how Native Americans should band together and participate in powwows and even protest, to feed that respect of the culture, and that has been diminished by the U.S. government through colonialism. Another thing I touched on is getting to know your surroundings. Where for most people, if you reside in Ohio, there is the Miami tribe that was originally from North Ohio, and the Shawnee tribe in the South. So just getting to know some of your local tribes, seeing if there are any events that are put on throughout the year by these tribes, and just getting to know. I think it's a really great part of learning Native American heritage and how it has been impacted throughout the years. By attending some powwows is also another way to really immerse yourself in the culture, eating some of the local food, getting to know some of the people, and seeing how they celebrate their sacred value in dance and drumming songs and things like, drumming, I guess, dancing to drums and all of that. So, and then my media forms, getting onto that, or I'm sorry, I forgot to go back to some of the authors. I talked about Goman and how her sense of tribal space and how that is really important in putting my vision into practice. Another one that I thought it went really great with my project was Miranda, and how she talked about how much shame she felt growing up as a Native American, and how the fact that she felt like she had to hide that. But later on, as she grew up, she used that to her advantage and was able to really find some support, and our stepsisters, and they were able to kind of band together and dig into this history and look back through, finding information about their grandmothers and past relatives. And then also recently, the Duke book, or the chapters that we had read, the chapter that I read specifically was on food as medicine, which went right in with my media project, because she talked about how since the Native Americans had been, their reservation land had been decreased, and now they were more limited to local hunting, and gathering was more difficult for them, how they had to depend on the government food commodity programs, where basically the U.S. government just gave them out cheap rations of refined flour, white potatoes, and refined sugar, which all are super high in starch, really high in sugars that burn off really quickly, and had shocked their bodies into diabetes, basically, because their bodies weren't used to having sugars that were broken down so quickly from their digestive system. So, and that has continued on to create such an epidemic in the Native American culture, far more than any other culture in America. And in my my recipes, I made, I'll go back to this, but my second recipe that I included in there was Lakota fry bread, which is made of, it's just flour and sugar and a couple of other small things. But this wasn't a traditional recipe in the sense that they'd been making it well before the colonists came in, but it was really a staple when the colonists had come in, because they didn't have any other, they weren't able to grow corn or any other thing, the grains that they would normally have, and how it's really nutritional lacking, but it's all they had, and it became such a staple. So that was something that was interesting that I was glad I put in there. But for my other recipes, I did create a Prezi to put this all in, so you can see in a better sense. So it's more interactive than just posting the recipes. So I put in the pictures of when I was cooking it, and you can go along and see all of that. So my first one was the Wahampi, which is a bison stew, except I was not able to find, or I found bison, but it was about $25 a pound, and I could not afford that. So I just made it with chuck roast, but it was still really good. And then the Wahapi, which was the fruit kind of jam that I served over the fry bread, which was really good. So you can view that in the Prezi, and that's complete now. And for my other project, which was the concept map, I ended up using, it's more of a mind map is what it's technically called. And so it's kind of just branches off. It's a PDF, so it's just one page. It's not very interactive, but The platform I used on kind of limited me in the amount of images I could put in or the bubbles with the text. So if you think that I'm missing anything that I should be a little more concise with, just let me know, and I can go ahead and weed some other ones out and put those in. So just let me know what your final thoughts are, and I'll be excited to view your projects. Thank you.